Hello, welcome to Skye Sweaty Record Review, episode 72. It's the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after getting out of the gym. So you may notice I am not directly out of the gym. I am actually currently doing my professoring that I talk about in the beginning of all my videos, and this is a new section, a new kind of episode. I call it Office Hours. And there are my actual office hours. It is Friday in between 11:10 and 1:10. And I want to use this opportunity as a place to discuss French rap music. As a French professor, I actually teach about French rap music. And so I need to give it a little bit more time, a little more gravitas, a little more elbow patches. I haven't gotten that far. But a little more elbow patches on the jackets, so to speak. And today I'm actually pretty excited because, I've studied French hip-hop. I've loved it. I've written a thesis on it. But it's really hard to keep up with how things are changing. And especially it's easy to just give in to the nostalgia that it used to be better back in the day. And so I challenged myself, and I listened to an artist called Lacrim, Lacrim. Lacrim is how you would say it with an English pronunciation. And it's interesting. His name is actually Karim. He's a French guy who had Algerian parents. I'll get into that more later. And I think Lacrim is a shortening of like la police criminelle, some kind of like police crime, Lacrim. It just sounds kind of like crime, sounds kind of cool. And he's an interesting character. He was born in Paris, actually in Menil-Monton, which is like where Edith Piaf was from, and there's a great song by Charles Trenet. There's a whole long history of music and art from that part of Paris. But then he moved around, and he ended up going to jail, and he ended up actually starting his career in Marseille. So that would be kind of like if you were born in the Bronx or something, but then you ended up starting your career in Compton. Paris and Marseille are the two poles of French rap. So it's kind of neat that he's able to go in between these two poles. And what's interesting about this album, and it's a self-titled album, Lacrim, is that it's all over the place. I mean, geographically, linguistically, it's all over the place. It's a double album. It features maybe my favorite album cover of the year. It's it's a tiger, eating like a steak, like a raw steak on a plate in the middle of a bed that's in a 5-star restaurant. Just a nice image of this, this savage animal rapper guy who's surrounded by all this luxury. Great imagery. So this guy apparently went to jail and then started his career and then went back to jail for gun ownership. Gun ownership is illegal in France for the most part. And so he has this kind of street cred. And this is part of what makes me sad about French rap. I talk about this a lot. Crime wasn't really a theme in French rap music until like the early 2000s. They would talk about crime, but usually it was in a sad way. They would talk about money, but it'd be more about the evils of money. In the early 2000s and up until now, the gangster rap aesthetic of money and guns and women and trafficking drugs came into vogue. And it's really sad, primarily because it's not really authentic. Most of the time, it's just people play acting in America or in France. So a rapper who has an actual criminal record somehow makes him seem more real. So, what is Lacrim like? I would say there's sort of two sides to this album. I think there's one good album in it, if you take out all the songs I dislike. Let's sort of start with the good. He has an interesting rap style. It's kind of like a guttural, staccato rap. It's very tough sounding. It's like nice and aggressive. If you're like me and you like rap to kind of help you feel aggressive, this is very much in that vein. The first song is like that. It's called RS6. I assume in reference to the Audi car. And it has kind of a nice addition too, where at the end of each kind of bar, there'll be someone going like, ba, 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 which is, I believe, an imitation or a continuation of a trend that's been going on in French rap, developed by a guy named MHD, called Afro Trap, where you have these kind of like elements of African music, like this kind of call and response playfulness, thrown in with a trap music sound bed, like the bass and the ricky-ticky hi-hat that you've heard me say, and basically 70 of the 72 episodes I've recorded so far. So that's kind of the one style. Actually, no, I'm just going to go through the album. I'm going to go through track by track, not all of them, because there are, I printed this out. There's 20 tracks on here, so I'm not going to spend all that time. But the next track is interesting because it's with 6ix9ine. And my kids are like, Poppy, you got to review 6ix9ine. I'm like, I already did. Like, you got to do it again. Well, I only review what's new. So here is some new 6ix9ine. And this is my favorite that 6ix9ine has ever been. Listen to this track. It gets a Skye stamp. I mean, the thing about 6ix9ine is he's just so relentlessly stupid. Just non-stop stupidity. Just, stupid! And he totally gives into it on this track. The line is, what is it here? Watch me do my money dance. Get money, do the running man. It's just great. It's just great, super stupid 6ix9ine. And then this matches pretty well with Lacrim style, which is also kind of guttural and yelling. He has several different modes to his voice. He has kind of like a guttural staccato, but then also kind of a yell. So that goes well here. Some of the lyrics here in French for him. Il y a des gros bâtards qui m'aiment pas que je verrai bien dead. So that's an example of the language here. He would like to see them dead. But he's using like the conditional tense, je verrai bien, and then dead in English. So it's kind of this fun mixture. We see that he mixes in Spanish, Arabic, English, French. For a language teacher, I'm in heaven here. Then later he says, je te nique ta mère et je roule une pette. So he's saying, you F your mother, and I roll a joint. So it's kind of this funny, like, je te nique ta mère. It's sort of, it's, you know what? Learn French, because I can't even explain how weird an expression it is. And what's funny about this is, I think if you listen to it, right, if you're an American listener and you hear 6ix9ine and then you hear some guy doing what 6ix9ine does, you think, oh, the French are copying the Americans. But it's not really that way. And it reminds me, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, of the reason that I learned French. The reason that I learned French was I got a cassette of this album by I.M. back in 1997. I was waiting for Wu-Tang Clan to come out with their next album. I would wait a little bit longer. And I thought that this looked like the Wu-Tang Clan. You know, it's all kind of Japanese and karate and all that. And the music style is very similar to that. And they use like, you know, karate samples. And so I thought, oh, they're just doing what the Wu-Tang did. But then I did my research and I discovered actually most of what the Wu-Tang was doing, I.M. had been doing years before. So it's not that Wu-Tang was copying the French, but that these things can exist at the same time. And I think that what Lacrim is doing and what 6ix9ine is doing are done at the same time. And so you can read into it like a copying, but I don't think that's actually accurate. Then we get to the bad parts. Oh my God. This is my message to the French rap producers out there. Auto-tune is dead. Stop doing auto-tune. Don't have songs and all of a sudden go, no, stop, arrête. Ça suffit. Hola, merde. Quit it. Just quit it. It's terrible, okay? Listen, all right? There are parts of the world where like rocking a mullet still looks cool, you know, short hair up front and then long hair down here. Awesome. But you look at those people and you laugh at them because they're from a backwards culture. If your rap music uses as much auto-tune as French rap does, you're stuck. You're stuck in the 2000s, okay? Put away the T-Pain albums. Anyways. There's a lot of tracks like that on this album. I could just cut them all out. Patricia, that's the next song on the album. And then Pardon Mama, which is interesting because it's a song where he's apologizing to his mom. And that's kind of a popular theme in hip-hop music, but it's also a popular theme in country music. And that's first in my country and hip-hop are essentially the same genres, but I'm not going to get into that now. There's a song called Granada, which he goes to a lot of different places on this album. Granada, Miami, kind of travels all over the place. And that's got kind of the Spanish guitar, and I got kind of excited thinking it was going to be all Spanish, but then the Spanish guitar goes away and it's just a trap beat, and it's not so good. It is interesting though because there's a lot of Spanish on this album, such as on the next track a couple later with French Montana, who is neither French nor from Montana. But in this, Lacrim raps in Spanish as well. And according to the myth of Lacrim, when he was hiding from the police, he was in Morocco and Spain, and he was like speaking Spanish. So that's kind of interesting, I suppose. There's in addition to having like American rappers like French Montana and 6ix9ine, he also has an Algerian rapper, a guy named Soul King, and that's on the track Maladie. And this is interesting because there's auto-tune on here as well, but it's the Algerian guy doing the auto-tune. And what's cool is that he puts kind of an Arabic ululating spin on the auto-tuner, so that it's not just straight aping of American auto-tune style, but kind of its own thing. And I actually forgive it. Soul King, you get a pass. You can keep doing auto-tune. The rest of you, France, or actually he's Algerian, you can get rid of that. And what's nice is it's kind of a mixture of reggae and then an Algerian form, or Moroccan, depending on who you ask, North African pop music called Rai. And this is what makes French rap interesting, is the mixture of different influences, and North African pop music is as important to the foundation of much French hip-hop as American funk. And you can hear that in here. And just in case you don't know, France colonized Algeria from 1830 to 1958, 1962 during their war. It was France. It wasn't like just a colony. It was considered France. And when they broke up, it was very acrimonious, horrible civil war, torture on both sides. So there's a lot of really rich, interesting heritage, history, pain that exists between the French and the Algerians and the French of Algerian descent. And you can often feel that in French rap music. It's part of what makes it fascinating. It's part of the reason why French rap is not just copying America. It's actually doing its own thing. On the first album, so there's two albums. The first one of the second to last track is called Éprouvé, and it's kind of neat. If you were to say that with English way, you'd just call it Éprouvé. I don't know. It has like an Algerian French R&B singer on it. So this is kind of like a pop song, closest thing to a real pop song on this album. And it's sort of an annoying hook, but it's nice. It's like a really well, nicely produced song. The beats are not trap. It actually sounds like late 90s hip-hop. So that's kind of nice. And then we're going to get to the second second album. Actually, no, before that, the last track on the first album, I think, is to his daughter. I think it's an apology to his daughter. So you can correct me if you're wrong. I don't know. Tu parles anglais? Lacrim? Si tu parles, tu peux me corriger? C'est bon? So that's funny that he's apologizing to his daughter and his mom on the same album. It's like, dude, you can just like stop being a bad guy, you know? You don't have to do that anymore. You can just, make a lot of money being a musician and just chill out. I don't know. And then on the next album is the first track called Jon Snow. And I saw this and I was like, oh man. There's like a lot of French rappers, I call them Netflix rappers. Like they just watch American shows on Netflix and then like they adopt a personality. There's like a lot of like songs called like Walter White or Avon Barksdale, and like they try and get all tough and gangster, but really they're just like watching The Wire, So that's what I thought this was going to be, but it's not. It's actually just a song about selling cocaine, like snow, cocaine, the whole Rick Ross kind of boring thing. But this is nice. This is like, there's the second album I'd say is better than the first because it's more just straight hip-hop music. I'd say take a listen. This is my next stamp, Jon Snow, okay? Listen to this to see if you'd like it. It's a combination of songs about trafficking cocaine and also personal sadness, okay? So like the beginning of the song. J'ai grandi seul, j'ai pas beaucoup d'attaches. C'est lorsque l'on s'ennuie qu'on fait des achats. I grew up alone. I do not have many attachments. It's when you are bored that you start buying things. See? That's what you could do in France. That's what you could do with French hip-hop. You could draw the correlation between consumer capitalism and despair and ennui and existential dread. Right there. He's saying it right there. I spend money because I'm bored and I have no attachments and I grew up alone. Ok. Je reviens de Colombie et j'attends mon bagage. J'essaie de deviner quelle salope a de la rep dans la chatte. So I come back from Colombia. I'm waiting for my bags. I'm trying to guess which derogatory word for a woman, put French slang for cocaine in her slang for female genitalia. So it's a funny mix between this kind of like existential crisis and acknowledgement that consumer capitalism is in and of itself depressing and lonely and isolating, and this like, hey, I'm a cool gangster guy who sells stuff. So have a listen to Jon Snow. There's no references to Game of Thrones that I know. Then there's a track called West Coast, and this breaks the Snoop rule, which is every song that Snoop Dogg is on is the worst song on every album. It's actually a pretty good song. It's got a pretty good featuring with Snoop Dogg, who's trying a little bit hard. The production's nice. It has kind of a mixture of songs that sound like they're North African, mixed in with West Coast synthesizers. So that's a nice idea, like trying to mix together these different cultures. And as always, the obligatory reference to the Eiffel Tower, which raises the question, is it better for an American rapper to reference the Eiffel Tower in a French rap song because it shows that he's thought about it at all? Or is it better for him not to because it's completely played out and like every American rapper who appears on a French track references the Eiffel Tower? I don't know. Then there's a track with Rick Ross, kind of a forgettable song. I mean, it's interesting hearing Rick Ross rapping in French, but not that good. Another song called Fugazi, which sadly is not a collaboration with the Washington punk band. This is kind of neat because there's a British rapper and I believe a Belgian rapper on there. So you have America, England, Belgium, Algeria, France. I mean, and it's not like trying too hard either. Like these are just kind of the natural influences that come on. There's a song with an old school French rapper, Oxmo Puccino, which again emphasizes the split nature of this album. Is it about capitalism being great and wonderful and I'm so rich, look at my car? Or is it about the despair that's brought on by money? There's a great line in which Oxmo Puccino says, you have to have money in order to know what it's worth. Again, there's a reason that I try to tell my students to learn French. Could you imagine someone saying that in an American rap song? You have to have money to know what it's worth? I mean, I don't even fully get it. That's wonderful. And then also in that song, he says, La vie, je n'ai rien à foutre. Qu'il juge, j'ai rien à foutre. Qui suis-je, j'ai rien à foutre. Qu'il m'aime, je n'ai rien à foutre. So, life, I don't give an F. That they judge me, I don't give an F. Who am I? I don't give an F. Who loves me? I don't give an F. Wonderful. French. J'en ai rien à foutre. Just, I don't care. The last stamp I would give to this album, I'm going to give it 3 stamps. It's really quite a good album. No. I don't know if it's a good album. It's a really interesting album. It's a really indicative album of where French rap is right now. But I can't tell yet if it's good. I can say that this song is particularly interesting, called Kounti, Kounti. And this is with Cheb Mami, who's one of the great stars of Rai music. And so you have a lot of singing in Arabic, North African drums, kind of mid-tempo, nice mixture. Again, one of the things that I teach in my classes is that musical style reinforces cultural identity, okay? In American rap, this is gone. You can't do that. If an American rapper comes out and starts putting on like African drums, it's inauthentic. The connection to Africa is so divided, unfairly. It's not rappers' fault that they were separated from Africa. But in French rap, the connection to Africa is so close. It's 1 generation, 2 generations, 0 generations, 5 generations, not even 5. Basically 2 or 3 usually. So when this music appears, it is actually itself a statement about the identity of the people who are making the music, which makes it interesting and makes it different than American rap. So have a listen to Kounti if you're interested in hearing what it sounds like when Rai is mixed in together with rap. So listen to those 3 tracks. Bloody with 6ix9ine, because it's just a banging rap track, and it's the best of 6ix9ine. I would say listen to Jon Snow, because it's the best just strict hip-hop, no hook, no chorus, just bam, just rap music. and then listen to Kunti as a nice mixture of the three. Final language lesson I'm going to give you. The last song is called Tootsies, and it's all about how he makes a lot of money at a club, I guess. He makes a lot of money. And at one point he says, On les baise rebeux, M16 rebeux, très riche rebeux, j'ai la haine rebeux, plus tu parles rebeux, plus je suis fort rebeux. And so that says, we F them rebeux, M16 rebeux, very rich rebeux, I have hatred in my heart rebeux, the more you speak rebeux, the stronger I am rebeux. And I want to give you a lesson about rebeux. What does it mean and where does it come from? So, I'm in professor mode. You can click off if you want. Are you still here? You ready to learn a little bit about French slang? All right, so this is actually Parisian slang, and it's called verlan. Okay, you see that? And that word is, in and of itself, a reversal of syllables of the word l'envers. L'envers means backwards. L'envers, verlan. So in French rap, they take one syllable and they swap it with another. Now, in theory, this was to avoid the police or to create a cool slang that no one else understood. But it's very interesting and very nice. And don't pull this stuff in Marseille. They'll they'll whip you for real. Like, don't. It's only in Paris and not in Marseille in France. I assume he uses it because he's mostly in Paris now. So this has made a lot of interesting things because it's not like official, like there's no guidebook for verlan. Sometimes things don't turn out the way you think they would. So he refers to everybody in this song. He angrily says, I have hate rebeux, we F them rebeux. Let me take you on the trail of how do we get to this word. We're going to get to R-E-B-E-U. Okay? How do we get to rebeux? First, we start with Arabe. Arabe meaning Arab, okay? So, he's from North Africa. He refers to himself as an Arab. That got turned through verlan into beur, B-E-U-R. This is a standard term that is used in France for first or second now generation Arabs in France. It's like a cool way to refer to themselves, and it also is not used in a derogatory term, whereas sometimes Arabe is. So beur has that nice kind of slang softening. So then, in their infinite wisdom, French slang has taken Arabe, turned it into beur, and then taken beur and inversed that. So that beur becomes rebeu. Isn't that funny? It's like when they do that thing where they translate a movie into Chinese and then translate the Chinese translation back into English, and it's totally nonsensical. So there you go, rebeu. I'm not sure, actually, if that's something that white people are not supposed to say. Hey, if I'm being racially insensitive, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I would never think to say that. So I don't know if I'm like just screaming the N-word here in my office. Anyways, my 3-word review, I would say it is reflective, sometimes too hard, sometimes too soft. That's what I would say. But it's very interesting, and it's very much of the moment. I think this is where French rap is, if you want to understand where it is. It's got the mixture of influences, the language, the thematics of crime, but also thematics of sadness. And the production is American in the way that it's trying to be trap, but also adding other, especially North African influences. Great. Well, it is my office hours. I should probably open up my door in case there's students knocking to come in. For some reason, they never do. I don't know why. Maybe that's why I have to start a YouTube channel just to talk to you. All right, until next time, there's the camera.